Alright, in this tutorial we're going to learn how to do parent layering. I've already opened up a new document, I've saved it as parent layering. I've already imported my file as well to my library. Actually, no, I haven't, so I'll do that quickly very much now. Let's do that. There you go. So I've imported my asset into there as well. If you need more information about all that kind of stuff, look at previous tutorials. I go through it multiple times. So I'm going to import that in. I'm going to break this apart. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is, instead of breaking it apart, I'm going to double click. And what that does is actually go inside of the layer. This is, instead of breaking it apart, it kind of makes it like a folder. So I'm going to actually keep that and double click, and then you'll notice that everything's broken apart. So I can delete all those things in there. This is another way of doing it. If I press this arrow, I go back and it's all grouped again. So I'm actually going to work inside of it, so I'm going to double click. And this is where I'm going to do my parent layering. So we need to do the exact same thing as what we did with the bone tool. We've got to change all the objects to be into symbols and what they're called. So just as an example again, choosing the head, convert to symbol, head, and press OK, then distribute to layer. And then you can just hide it so you know you've done it. And I want you to do that for all your parts. Okay, so once you have finished your symboling and distributing into different layers, you can get rid of that first layer where it has nothing in it. And then you're going to show everything again, and then you're going to rearrange them so they're back into their actual order. So I want you to rearrange it to make the actual character. Alright, so once you have done that, your character is back to its normal position and what it looks like. We're going to start doing the parenting layer, or layering. So parenting layering is just like the bone tool. It's connecting all the parts together, but it's not having like a structure inside of it or having constraints and things. You can kind of manipulate it a little bit more. It's just a different way of doing it. Both ways have their positives and negatives. So if you look up here, you see this little button that says show parenting view, and it'll open up this little view here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make a parent, and then you're going to tell it what children and all that are part of it. So what I mean by that is that you're going to say, like, the hip is a child of the torso, because the torso is like one of the main bits, right? So he's going to be the parent. He's going to be in charge of all the things. Wherever the torso goes, everything goes. So if the hip moves a little bit, the torso, or the hip will affect the torso, kind of thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag the hip into the torso. So the hip is now a child, and the torso is a parent. So you can see this little line happening. And say with the next one, so the hip's in charge of the two legs. So if I do left leg into the hip and right leg into the hip as well. And then of course the foot, the right leg's in charge. So I'm going to put the foot with the right leg and the left foot with the left leg. Okay, so whenever the left foot's moving, all of these move. Or sorry, if whenever the left leg's moving, the left foot would move. If the left foot moves, nothing moves. It's just by itself. If the torso moves, all of these move. It kind of makes this sort of family tree kind of thing. So I'm just going to do that for the rest. So my left arm is going to be a child of the torso, and then the left hand's a child of the left arm. My right arm's going to be a child of the torso, and my right hand's going to be a child of the right arm. And then my head's going to be a child of the torso. So pretty much the torso's in charge of everything, and then these are the little childs that come into it afterwards. So now if you notice, if I, say, come into my animation, use the freeze transform tool, and I rotate just the chest, everything rotates with it. If I rotate just the foot, it does it by itself. However, if I move the hips, say, all the legs move with it. Okay, so this is where we can do some animation. So I've got my character here. I'm just going to do a walking motion in a standing position. So I'm going to do 5 frames. Going to add a keyframe. And I'm just going to move everything just a little bit. So this is where we can actually make our animations a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of our points and see these little white dots. These are our pivot points. So this is where they rotate. So at the moment it rotates in a circle. However, our head doesn't rotate in a circle. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this free transform tool. We're going to select our head, select our keyframe, and we're going to move this to about here, where his neck would potentially be. And then we're going to do that for all of them. So our right arm, probably be up with his shoulder. These are like our joints in our bone tool. It's the exact same thing, except we don't have to join them. So I'm going to move the torso up to here. Right leg is going to come up to here. Right foot is going to come up to here. Now I want you to move them for all your objects. Hip can come into about here. Other leg goes up to here. Right foot goes up to here. Left arm, probably here. And left hand up to here. There we go. So now, if I select any of them, they've got different pivot points and specific pivot points to what the character is. So now I'm going to add a new keyframe. And I'm just going to move my character. So I'm going to try and make it look like he's walking. So I'll undo that to get that back to position. And say he's going to use his right arm's going to come down. Say for this. That's going to come up. The torso is going to lean forward a little bit. Or how about we move him a little bit. And the torso is coming just a little bit. And then that arm rotates forward and his head can stay there. So we can see that motion happening. And then we'll do the next keyframe. Highlight it all. Insert keyframe. Now his head's gone because I didn't do that keyframe. Insert keyframe. And then let's say he moves this leg. And then that leg comes back. But because all the parenting's there, it's helping the character not break away from its points. You can have the hands moving quite easily together. Move that back. And then what you can do in between them is create a classic twin. So if I press play on this, and if I loop it, instead of doing that, the whole loop. So yeah, I want you to make a 2-second animation of him just walking, or your character walking in one position, or I'll allow it for you to make any, actually I want you to make any animation that goes for about 2 to 3 seconds that goes and does something that your character would do. So my character is just going to be walking. You can maybe add your asset that we made, say like I could have brought his hammer in and he goes and walks up and tries and picks that up. So we'll make a 2 to 3 second animation, a very short one. You could bring in his asset and try, and even the environment, you can bring those things in to try and get him to walk towards and try and pull it up. Try extend what you can do, but using parent layering. So once you've done that, export it as a SWF file and then submit it into Google Classroom.